What's the most NSFW thing you saw in public? Was at Red Robin with some friends in college. My buddy nudges me and gestures to a table across the way. We are far enough back and at the right angle to see this woman in her 50s jerking some guy in his 20s off under the table. There was another couple people at their table, who either didn't notice it didn't care. They were about to. I, in turn, nudged my other buddy to show him, and that's when the guy came all over the underside of the table. We lost our shit as in unison. Everyone at their table pushed their chairs back in shock and disgust because it apparently went all over their legs. I saw street workers working without helmets and ear protection. I was walking through a path to get to school one day and I passed by one of my classmates standing beside a tree, with a flip phone in one hand, and his penis in the other, furiously beating off in the woods. He didn't come to the class we had together for a month, and when he finally came back, tried to sit next to me every day for the rest of the year. Was driving down the interstate, saw a woman riding her man reverse cowgirl, in a hatchback. Freaking hero that one. I follow some lewd cosplayers on Twitter. Sometimes I open it up in public and sometimes people catch a glimpse of nudes. Was riding my bike on a bike path in the woods. I came over a hill to see two people on a bench. A girl and guy. Thought it was weird her head was in his lap. I was a kid. Then realized she was deep-throating him. About the same time I realized that. They realized I was there. I said, "Don't mind me," and kept riding. I will never forget that loud pop her mouth made when she came up. I was in the beach admiring the view when I saw a hot girl swimming. She had a wardrobe malfunction and her tits were showing, but she had no idea. Then out of nowhere, a little person comes out of the water, jumps on her and puts her to the ground. Then he literally starts humping her from behind. They both laugh about it, not giving a damn what people think. I assume she was his girlfriend, but the whole situation was weird ASF. I was like, WTF is going on? Heading to Disneyland one day, I saw a woman changing next to her open window on an extremely busy street. She had to realize everyone could see her. One of the beaches I worked at was a nude beach. We'd periodically have to deal with what was termed lewd acts. These ranged from loosely concealed hand jobs and blowjobs, usually under a towel, to straight up butt sex. More than a few visitors new to the idea of a public nude beach assumed that would be totally okay. First time with my big bro exploring the new town he would call home for uni. Saw a couple, one possibly a prostitute, going at it in a random shop doorway in broad daylight. I was 14 and knew what sect was, but I really didn't want to see it IRL. Stumbled upon some people that were filming amateur flashing porn. We made eye contact for a good 30 seconds, before they whispered to the camera, "I think someone saw," and went back to doing what they were doing. Not saw, but heard. I was in Austin, Texas, and I was on my way to NSFW, when I came across a hippie-looking guy and a woman wearing a shirt that said, like, "Repent sinners" or something. Anyway, the guy was talking and all I heard was, "So I was having sex with all these women, and then I realized I had to stop. So I bought this guitar off a guy. But then that guy would not stop asking if I wanted a threesome. He must have asked like 8 or 9 times. And that's when I left." Sitting in the subway flipping through VR-related news on my phone, using an app called Flipboard, and a piece on VR porn comes up, but the thumbnail image, that occupies about 50% of my screen, was of a woman giving someone a blowjob. Just straight up looked like I was browsing for porn, didn't know where to bury my face. I work at an outdoor public pool in the summer, and 2 summers ago I had to ask 2 dudes to stop having oral sex in the pool during family swim. 200 plus people were there. I was in town with my dad when I was about 9 years old. We were going about our business. It was street night. Suddenly, a man and a woman, completely naked, streaked down the street right by us, followed by police officers. I didn't know what to think. It's a fond memory. There is a local prostitute that everyone in my coffee shop, many in the neighborhood, knew by name. She was very kind when she wasn't hopped up on drugs, which was extremely rare. She had a very rough life. One winter night, she came in with her skirt hiked up to high heaven and not wearing any underwear. She stood in front of the window and just started dancing. I went up to her and told her she needed to leave if she was going to do that, or she could sit down and have a coffee. She replied with, "How else will I find a husband?" I heard moaning sounds coming from the crypt below the chapel floor where I was about to practice the organ for a funeral later that day. When I turned the organ blower on in the crypt for the instrument above, a couple emerged, obviously caught red-handed for having used the quiet space for purposes other than burying bones. Streets of New York. Around 3 p.m. or so, a drunk couple were walking down the street. Calling their travel walking is even a stretch. They were pulling themselves down a fence, which made it look like there was some strange force pulling them backwards. Anyways, the lady faceplants on the sidewalk and rises to her knees. She starts blowing this dude all the while blood is straight pouring out of her face. I ran inside to grab someone to witness the show, and when I got back they were gone. While riding my bike home from school, I rounded a corner to see two other students going at it in the middle of the bike trail. Like, there was a whole forest. But nah, this busy bike trail will work. One time in high school I was washing my car in one of those drive-in quarter places, when I noticed the truck waiting was not pulling into an open slot. When I walked a little closer I realized he was masturbating to the girl washing her car beside me. I sprayed his truck with the hose, startling him, causing him to peel out, drive over the curb, smash a ground light, and blow out his tire. He drove away with the blown tire rim sparking down the street. I once witnessed a prostitute in the Amsterdam red light district throw out a client in nothing but his socks. It was mid-December, so pretty cold too. I didn't get a chance to find out the story as I was working and just driving by, unfortunately. I was more of the one creating the NSFW thing in public. Throwaway for reasons. I was day drinking at my local Buffalo Wild Wings and I became way too drunk to be there. I was not kicked out for some reason. I found a woman who was just as drunk as I was. After a few drinks I convince her for a hand job. She just starts jerking me off at the bar top. I wasn't embarrassed but drunk and proud. People noticed. Everyone noticed. We didn't stop. The bartender told us to get out because who wants to watch a drunk girl jerk off a drunk guy at 1:15 p.m. while trying to enjoy chicken wings? No one, that's who. I joined the military and have never gone back to the Buffalo Wild Wings. I wouldn't want to be recognized. A guy and a girl freaking on a sofa, in the middle of a club. Quickly the security guards threw them out. Just 5 minutes later there were people sitting on the same sofa without having idea of what happened there. My girlfriend was super disgruntled one night after she headed home from my place because there was a couple outside her apartment in a car having sex with the windows rolled down at like 1 a.m. Additionally, we woke up one morning to a wide-set pair of handprints with what seemed to be the shape of a woman's upper body between them in the dust on the hood of her car. TLDR. College towns are strange places.